So I have removed my top middle right height speaker so that I can replace it with my Krix speakers. So what I need to do is I need to mount this. So here I have some OSB that I had previously cut when I was boarding up the windows. But I have some OSB here and I painted one side black. So this is going to replace. So right here I have a piece of OSB that I had already cut. That's what the previous height speakers were mounted to. So the speakers were mounted to the mount, and then the mount was drilled into this. So there's a stud right here, and I have 3 screws here. And as you can see, I have my laser level right where the screws are. So I'm going to take this down because it's not big, wide enough or long enough for the actual Krix speaker mount. And I'm just going to mount this, make sure that it's straight, and then I'm going to drill holes all the way across in the middle so that it'll be in the stud. And then I'm going to also drill four holes in each corner, and I'm going to use those wall anchors. So I see all the comments about the wall anchors, and trust me guys, I would not be using them in the ceiling if they didn't work. Behind me, I have my height speakers, my front height speakers with the mount, and they all have wall anchors that I've used in the ceiling. I've had those up for a couple years. I have moved the speakers, I've angled the speakers. I've had 0 issues. I'm not just using one screw or one wall anchor. There's at least 4 in those. So the good thing is there is a stud here. If there's no stud, that's why I'm using them. Obviously, if I have a stud, I'm going to use the stud. I've had no issues with it. I've got my top rear speakers mounted with the same wall anchors. They're not going anywhere. Again, if they didn't work, I wouldn't be using them. So let's just put that to rest. But I've got this here. I need to take this OSB, and I believe this is either 1/4 inch or this is probably 1/2 inch OSB. So I'm going to take this down, the previous piece of OSB, and I'm going to drill some holes once I set it up on the ceiling. And then once I get the holes, I'll put the wall anchors in, and then I'll put this back up, drill it in with some screws, and then put the 4 screws in the wall anchors, and this thing isn't going to go anywhere. And that'll give me perfect mounting solution so that I don't have to use the wall anchors, because I don't use the wall anchors first. I only use the wall anchors if I don't have a stud. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the next part of this video will be, well, at least the speaker should be mounted. Okay, so I have the speaker mounted, and I'm probably gonna have to make a few adjustments. So technically it's a little bit in the walkway, but I'm 6'1", and remember before, the speakers that I had up there came down 17 inches. These only come down 10 inches. So you shouldn't really hit your head, because now I'm standing directly under it. So I've got a good, what, 3-4 inches. So I'm 6'1". If you're taller than that, you might end up hitting your head. So what I think I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna push it back just a little bit and angle it towards the main seating position just a little bit more, because right now I have the tweeter is pointing actually to more towards the seat to my left of the main seating position. So that's actually not bad. I really wanted to try to aim to get both rows, but since I'm the main one that's going to be using this like 99% of the time, I think I'm just going to have it aimed towards the main seating position. And for people when they come over, you know, hey, this ain't their theater. So I think it's still going to sound good anyways, but I think I'm going to end up pushing this back just a little bit, a couple more inches, and angle it a little bit more either towards the main seating position or angle it back a little bit so that it's out of the way, but it's also kind of, you know, you're getting that because it's a waveguide anyway, so it's gonna hit both of the seats. So yeah, basically what I did was I took the OSB, I drilled holes in four corners, in each of the four corners, and then I put the wall anchors into the ceiling where those holes were, put the OSB back up, and then I screwed in the corners first, and then I put some screws all the way across where the stud is. So this thing isn't going anywhere, the mount isn't going anywhere, and the good thing about it is I have a wide surface area of OSB. If I need to move it and adjust it, you know, I've got plenty of room. So I've got to do the top middle left, and then I've got to tackle the fronts. So I've got 3 speakers, Krix speakers, that are already installed for my heights. I've got to do 3 more. So the next thing I got to do is I got to do the same thing on the other side. I got to take down my previous speakers. I got to take down a piece of wood that I have there, get the other piece of OSB, do the same thing on that side, and then mount it. But one thing I love about this mounting system is it's super easy. So once you get it up, either, you know, straight to the ceiling, or like I have, you know, if you get a piece of OSB or a piece of wood, it's got pre-drilled holes. And really all you do is, you know, if you need to drill a pilot hole, for this I didn't really have to drill a pilot hole, but it's already got pre-drilled holes. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes that you can screw in, and then you've got some bigger holes if you need to. So you've got plenty of mounting options, and then I can angle this however I want. So very versatile. I'm very happy with these. And yeah, all right, so I've got the top middle left speaker, my previous speaker, removed, and I'm getting ready to install the new Krix speaker. So my goal with the speakers are to get the tweeter aimed directly at the main seating position, which is going to be, you can't see it, but this chair right here. So the orientation is probably going to go like this, and that way when I hang it, it'll be, the tweeter will be pointing directly at the main seating position, and then with the waveguide you're going to get that nice dispersion. So it's going to look a little bit something like this. Now obviously it's not, the mount isn't orientated right, but I want to have it to where it's pointing towards the main seating position. And that's why I love these mounts, because once I get it mounted, I can angle this however I want. So when I get it mounted to the ceiling, I'm going to angle it so that it's facing directly towards the main seating position, and then I can angle it however I need to. So I've got to put the OSB up. I've already pre-drilled some holes in it, and then I'm going to take it back. I'm going to drill the holes into the pilot holes into the ceiling, take it down, put the wall anchors in the ceiling where those 4 holes all in the corner, put it back up, and then I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the other side. I'm going to drill some holes, and there's a stud right here, and I'm going to make sure that it's completely secure. So that's the next step. So the top middles are finished. As you can see behind me, I've got my top middle left mounted, and I did something just a little bit different. So as I said before, I pre-drilled holes on each of the 4 corners of the OSB, and then what I did was, so to pre-drill the holes, I used a 1/8 drill bit, and then I took a 1/2 inch spade bit, and I basically burrowed a little hole. That way when I screw in the screws to the wall anchors in the ceiling, it sits flush. Actually not flush, it sits recessed. So I kind of messed up on the other side. I didn't think about it, the screws are actually sitting on top of the OSB, whereas over here, they actually go in. So right here, and I'll put some B-roll over it, it's recessed. So that just makes it even tighter when it's mounted to the ceiling. I actually didn't have to drill into the stud. This thing isn't going anywhere. So then I took the speaker mount and I drilled 7 screws into the OSB. So nothing's moving, nothing's going anywhere, no issues. So yeah, I've got the speaker aimed pretty much at the main listening position. And in a little bit, I'm gonna do some testing and tell you how, what I think about how it sounds with having timbre matched. I got it right this time. Timbre matched and proper speaker placement, proper speaker angles. Now I still have 2 more speakers that I need to mount. So I need to take down the front heights and replace those with the remaining 2 Krix. So I'm gonna probably try to do that this weekend or maybe next week, just because it's gonna involve a little bit more work. But since I have my 4 speakers, top middles and top rears, I'm gonna do some A/B listening, because I've already listened to many of these movies multiple times, the movie clips that I'm gonna use, and I did some already when I installed the rear heights, and there was a noticeable difference already. So I'm not gonna run calibration just yet, because I don't have all of my height speakers. They're not all Krix, and I wanna wait. That way I don't have to, double the work. Okay, so I have 2 speakers left that I need to replace. And what I'm planning on doing is obviously taking these speakers down. I won't be using these mounts, won't be using these speakers, but I want to move them up just a little bit, maybe about a foot or so, because according to Dolby's recommendation, your height speakers aren't really supposed to be directly above your left and right channels. And they're actually pretty close. So 17 inches down from the ceiling versus 10 inches. So that's gonna make a massive difference. So right now, we are exactly 23.5 inches from my right front speaker to my right front height speaker. So just 2 feet, right at 2 feet. That's really close. So moving them forward, my left and right height speakers, front height speakers, moving them forward is going to give me better separation, and gaining 7 inches, going from 17 inches down back up to 10 inches is going to make a massive difference. And I can already tell a difference just from the Krix speakers that I do have installed on my height channels, in the top middles and in the rears. So that's the next step. Once I take these speakers down, the whole room is going to be completely Krix Hyperphonix 45s, except for the center channel. So obviously I didn't have room, and for bigger speakers, I really wanted to put all of my front speakers behind the screen, but because of my speaker placement, because my width is 10 inches wide or 10 feet wide, I wasn't really able to do that. So I had to make a compromise with the center channel. But at least the center channel it's one of Krix's better speakers. So that's what I'm gonna do next. But before I do that, I'm actually gonna do some demos. Okay, so how do these speakers sound compared to the previous setup that I had before? So I've spent the last week or so doing some A/B comparisons, and to give you an idea of how capable the Hyperphonix 45s are, I haven't even executed a Trinnov calibration yet. I delayed installing the final 2 Hyperphonix 45 speakers specifically so I could run an uncalibrated side-by-side comparison with my previous height setup. And even without the room correction, the improvement is undeniable. Beyond sheer volume, the Hyperphonix 45s deliver a massive step up in pronounced detail and articulation. Because they feature a short throw waveguide for improved sound dispersion, every subtle acoustic nuance, from high frequency glass fractures to trailing reverb tails cuts through the mix with absolute clarity without ever sounding harsh. When you pair that driver performance with precision speaker placement and proper angling toward the listening position, the soundstage completely transforms. Sound doesn't just feel louder, they have clearer, distinct positions in three-dimensional space. The increased efficiency and headroom dramatically enhance the system's dynamic range, letting quiet, whisper-level atmospheric details transition into room-shaking explosions with effortless power and zero distortion. Dune Part 2's masterclass sound design stretches the boundaries of your home theater, giving your room a sense of width and height that defies its actual physical footprint. When the Fremen launched their all-out assault on the Emperor's spherical mirror chrome vessel, the audio mix in Dune Part 2 transforms your listening space into a live battleground. With the Hyperphonix handling heightened spatial effects, your room suddenly feels immeasurably wider and taller than its four walls. As heavy artillery punches through the Imperial defense barriers, the sheer low-frequency weight hits with a violent physical presence. Dust clouds and structural debris don't just happen on screen. The overhead channels drive a visceral, crushing pressure from above that makes it feel like your ceiling is on the verge of collapsing right on top of you. Hands down, Godzilla Minus One has the most dynamic, terrifyingly active Dolby Atmos mix I've ever experienced on 4K Blu-ray. Now, my previous setup handled this scene well, but stepping up to the Hyperphonix 45 takes the immersion to an entirely different scale. And thanks to those waveguides, the sound radiates effortlessly into every corner of my space, creating a massively taller, inflated soundstage overhead. When Godzilla unleashes his signature growl, it doesn't just play from the speakers, it completely engulfs you. The sheer scale and weight makes it feel as though Godzilla is towering directly above your seat, filling the upper atmosphere of your room with a bone-chilling, fully enveloping roar. And when Godzilla unleashes his atomic blast, the Krix Hyperphonix height channels turn the entire room into ground zero. The moment the nuclear explosion ignites, a massive wall of sound detonates across the upper soundstage, filling the room with terrifying scale. As the shockwave strikes, you can hear the violent blowback of wind and airborne debris tearing across your ceiling, followed by the sharp localized crackle of glass shattering overhead. But the absolute highlight comes right after the air clears. Godzilla lets out a majestic, terrifying roar that doesn't just sit at screen level. It radiates upward into the upper atmosphere, completely engulfing you from above in pure sonic dread. When you take a look at the Trinnov Atmos visualizer during this action sequence from Tron Ares, you can literally watch the audio objects firing across the upper hemisphere in real time. As light cycles tear through the grid and characters are thrown aerial, those yellow height nodes on the display light up relentlessly around the perimeter and top layer. With the Hyperphonix 45s installed, those visualized dots translate into pinpoint spatial accuracy in your room. And when combatants shatter and fly overhead, the Hyperphonix tracks those high-velocity fragments seamlessly across the ceiling. Light cycle engine hums and laser trails don't just sit in the front stage, they swoop up and over your head, giving you an ultra-wide vertical sound field that mirrors the 3D object movement on the Trinnov display with absolute clarity and punch. When you bring it all together, from the violent earth-shattering sandstorms of Dune Part 2, to the towering, bone-chilling atmosphere of Godzilla Minus One, and all all the way to the lightning fast pinpoint overhead tracking of Tron Ares, the Krix Hyperphonix 45s prove exactly what they're capable of. They deliver a massive leap in dynamic scale and clarity that completely redefines the height layer. It's more in your face when it needs to be, but can also make your room disappear into the ether of immersive sound. If you're running a height setup in your home theater, let me know in the comments what speaker configuration you're running and what speaker models they are. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.